Hello folks, this is Sada here, and I'm back with the second part of the Laravel Orion series. In the first part, we built a Laravel API the usual Laravel way, and we put together a post endpoint. But as you can see, for that we had to do a post resource. We had to make some changes in the post model. We had to make some changes in the controller. And there was a lot that it was a bit of a boilerplate that we had to do just to get some response from an API endpoint. And although that's not a lot in comparison to a lot of other frameworks and other ways of building an API, and that is one of my favorite ways of building an API. But in this video, we'll explore how Laravel Orion actually improves our workflow. One thing that I have changed, because I'm starting after a bit of time. What I've done is, let me demonstrate it to you. Like before this, in the first part we did a good old PHP artisan serve, but as such, for now, for quite some time now, like Laravel Sail is my de facto local environment. So since I'm starting after quite some time, basically Laravel Sail is my de facto local environment. So what I'm doing here is, sorry about this, no artisans yet. So I'm using Docker to and specifically Laravel Sail to kind of get my environment up and running, local environment up and running. And as you can see, if you go to the local Docker installation, you'll see that we have a local environment on a local instance of Laravel running at localhost like this. And from the last video, if we go to API/posts, you'll see our usual return with 20 posts showing from the API post endpoint. And if you want to go to an individual post, you can also see the individual post here. But even for this, we had to do, just like I said, we had to do quite a bit. And let's see as to how Laravel Orion can help us in that regard. And starting and something that comes right at you is it's saying all points for index, search, show, store, update, destroy, restore, batch store, batch update, batch destroy, batch restore. I mean, more than what you could hope for. All these operations will be ready, will already be there with proper authorization, validation, and error handling. So you need to define policies and request classes yourself, of course. So this will come to later. But this in itself is a big advantage, that all these endpoints, you don't have to create any of them, and all of them are going to be there for you as soon as you just write 3 lines of code. And let's go to get started and see as to how things are going to work. So first of all, we are going to do composer require. We're going to install Laravel Orion. And okay, while it does its thing, we're going to figure out what the next step is going to be. So we are going to publish the configuration, and that's optional, by the way. But I always like to publish the default configuration, because that gives you a lot more control over a particular package, and you can customize different aspects. So if we go to, sorry about this again, okay, and you can see a few like namespace specifications. A guard, basically this is for, you can change this, of course, when you're later using other guards. But if you come to the API.php, you'll see that we are using the API resource, and which we are going to change next. And but before we do that, we are going to use the Orion HTTP controller. We are going to use the Orion controller instead of the regular controller. So if you go to post controller and you paste in the Orion controller, and right away this is going to give you a conflict. So you need to get this HTTP controller out of the way, and you need to use the Orion HTTP controller. Okay, and as you can see, it's already complaining that this is not compatible with Orion. So we're going to come to this later, and the next thing that we need to do is we need to define a protected model class, and that we're going to do next. So you come here and you do a protected model class, and that is the post class. Because we're already taking the example of post, minimum changes are needed. And what comes next is going to surprise you. We are going to get rid of all of this. Quite a lot of this has actually already been we haven't configured yet. So if you work on the store method and if you work on other stuff, then that's going to be a lot of boilerplate. Individually specifying which columns to store and everything. That's a lot of work, as you can tell from, if you've ever built an API with Laravel, as you can tell from that, as you've seen in the first part as well. So, I mean, in an ideal world, if we come back, okay, sorry, one last change, and that was we are supposed to do this. And even before that, let's just copy these so that there's no issues. Okay, we already have, all right, because we're okay. What I tend to do is, as you've seen in the last video, I always create in controllers. I create an API folder which actually has all my API controllers. So that's a personal preference in terms of organization, and that is actually, I think, also something that that Laravel Orion also recommends. So an API folder in so that's going to kind of improve things for you overall. So with this, we are ready to copy the Orion resource, and I'm going to just comment this out for now, and just paste this. So what it's going to do is, instead of the API resource, it's now going to use the Orion resource, and this is going to, in an ideal world, this should now show us something similar or better from this endpoint right now. But what's going to happen is this is going to give you this action is unauthorized, because Laravel Orion has authorization built into it already. This is going to complain, and this is going to say this action is unauthorized. So you cannot just go to an endpoint and see your see anything without you being authorized. But for the purpose of this demo, and for just to get things going, what we're going to do is we are going to use disable authorization in the post controller, and this is something that you can do. And we of course have to import that. So this is basically, again, this disable authorization is also built into to Orion, and you can actually write your own trait as well for this, but I think this is going to do the trick. So refresh, and voila, that's it. I mean, there's nothing that is there in the post controller. So if we count the lines except for the imports, it's 1, 2, and maybe 3 if you want to count it 4 or 5. A maximum of 10 lines including imports, and you are looking at an endpoint like this, which is already paginated, and this is also going to show you total 20 to 15. So per page is 15, and of course there are ways to customize this as well, which we'll come to later in this series. But then this is how it is right now. So if you go to page 2, let's say, you'll see the rest of them. All right, there you are. And if you go to, like, let's say we want to see post 16, you'll go there and you'll see you'll see that. And let's say if we want to, so this is basically the basic stuff. I think the post requests and delete requests, they can wait for the next video. But just this was just to demonstrate that Orion is this fast. So imagine you building an API with with 10, 20, even sometimes 50 endpoints, and for most of them you just need to return a standard response. You don't need customization for especially the small ones. For example, there's a real estate project in which, for example, I'm writing like I'm using features. So all I need to do is return the feature name and a few more details. And you can actually use this for relations as well, and a lot else. So we are going to get into that in the coming lessons. Wrapping this up this quickly, you can see the results from your API endpoints, along with pagination, along with even search, post, delete, and a lot other endpoints, which is like simply amazing. So see you around, and see you in the next video.